My name is Karen Woodside, and this is my resurrection story. My mom and dad are Elsie and Robert Kennedy, different Robert Kennedy. I have two older brothers, Greer and Craig. Of course, my husband is Eugene Woodside. We've been married for 46 years, and I hope we'll have at least 46 more. We have a son, Kevin, who we're very proud of, and his wife is Cheryl, and we just think she's wonderful. I was in church from day one. My mom and dad were actually the core group that started the church in a tent. It was a gospel chapel, and that's where we went all the time. My dad was a fireman, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I went to school, and then she worked in the school cafeteria. My dad was also a kind of a part-time pastor. He didn't filling in for any time that they needed him, and any time that they would let him preach, because he loved preaching, and I know because he preached a lot at home. I can remember when I was about 6 or 7, my dad leading me to Christ, and my dad was the one that baptized me later on in life. Unfortunately, as I got to be a teenager, I started to rebel, which caused a problem between me and my dad. And I wanted to do anything but go to church. He and my mom never once gave up praying for me, and loving me, and I loved them too. I just was being very rebellious, and even though our relationship was strained, my dad and I, we never lost contact or quit talking or quit seeing each other. God was still dealing with me the whole time, so I would go back to church for a while, and then I would stop again. I actually met Eugene when I was about 14 because I was friends with his sister. Actually, both of his sisters. We were friends, and so I met him. But you know, he was already in the service, and so all I did was actually just meet him before he left for Vietnam. I wrote him. I actually still have his letters that he wrote to me from Vietnam. We dated for a year or two, and then got married. When Kevin was born, I knew that he needed to be in church, so I started back to church, and that lasted for a little while, and then I kind of went back the other way and stopped going to church again. When Kevin was about 6 or 7, again, I was having thoughts that we need to be in church, and so he started going with his friend that lived down the road to church, and I didn't go with him. I was going to churches with my friend or my family or something like that. And one Sunday morning, I was standing there trying to think, well, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go this Sunday? And Kevin said, why don't you go with us to this church? I really like it. I said, okay. So I went, and it was great. It was a Nazarene church. I'd never been to a Nazarene church. And that was when I realized that God was saying, you're going to church, but you're not back with me. So I gave my life back to Christ. And shortly after that, Eugene was laid off from DuPont, but he had a chance to come here to the DuPont, and we moved to Waverly, and so we came here, and people were so nice, and they were so accepting, and I didn't feel like that I was an outsider or a stranger coming in, and so this has been our home, our church ever since. When we first started coming here, we came all the time, but not real involved. We did a few things, but not as involved as we should have been. And I always knew if I missed a Sunday school class, Alton would look at me and go, 10 o'clock, and You know, another person that's really impacted my life and my walk with God is Pastor Darren. And when he started asking us to do different things and be involved, I think I realize now sometimes when something comes into my head, it's not just a thought, it's God saying, this is what I need you to do. And now in my life, I listen to those, where before I would think, oh, I don't really need to do that, or I don't want to do that. Now I listen to those more and know that it's God that's calling me. I'm Karen Woodside. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me.